All right, hi everybody. I normally like to put out a video before the open, further before the open, but um, I didn't. But that's okay. So I was thinking, and one thing a lot of people think is that they need to do specific training for the open, and it's partially true. Like there's movements and skills that we know will come up, so training those is not a bad idea, especially movements that you don't have maybe. But the open in general will just test general physical preparedness, mostly conditioning, but there is strength elements, of course. So just day-to-day general fitness is exactly kind of what you need to do. So other than maybe some extra skill work. You don't really need to do specific training for the open. It would be kind of impossible even. We know about, probably 20 movements. That's a off the top of my head wild guess. That have came up in the open. They always try to throw in new movements or new variations, which if you boil them down, you're just talking about doing CrossFit. So you don't need to do specific training, which is good. The open is supposed to test general fitness. So as for strategy during the open, every workout will have a specific strategy, and that will come when we know what they are. But I did want to mention that. So, I mean, it's too late to do specific training. The big thing would be if your goal is to do as well as you can in the open and move on to the next levels. It starts the week after the open with doing extra skill or strength work, and then when we get towards the open, it moves to more conditioning. But you're talking about a year of training, not 3 weeks or whatever. Okay, the next thing I wanted to bring up is recording. One thing I hate about current gym culture is people just recording their workouts and then posting them for clout maybe or sponsorships or something. I don't get it. I do and am guilty of posting workouts showing here's what I accomplished, which I think is fine, of course, because I've done it. But during the open, I think there's two good reasons to record your workouts, even if you don't think you're going past the open, even if you're not signed up. I encourage everybody to sign up though, but it lets you see what you're doing, how you're moving. It's one thing for a coach to tell you, do this with your body. It's another thing to see it, watch it again, and then make those corrections or go over it with somebody so they can tell you what they see and show you on the video. And then if you are doing it for serious for the open, recording it's always a good idea to verify scores and stuff like that. But just in general, recording how you move is always a good idea, I think. Next topic, set your goals. So the open is very broad, which is great, and the goals for it can be very broad. Maybe you want to get to, it's not regionals anymore, whatever it is, semifinals, quarterfinals. That's great goals. Maybe you were out of it for a while and you want to come back into it and you just want to see what you get. That's great goals. Maybe you just want to finish it. First time doing something like that, that's great goals too. And dependent on those goals, that's going to kind of depend how you do the workouts, or the events, I should say, because I'm going to talk to. So these events are not great workouts, meaning workouts will improve your performance over time as part of a systematic programmed approach. The CrossFit Open is designed to test where you are. So there will be an event, something like, say, a short time domain, 5 minutes to find a heavy set of whatever in a lift. That's not a good workout, but it is a good test. So no matter your goals, treat them like a test. It's 1 day a week. It's a test, so you are giving 100%, and it is not a workout. They're going to be short, some of them. There's going to be some that movements come up that you can't do or can't do at that load, or can't complete in a given time or whatever, and that's fine. That's what it's designed to do. It's not designed to be something that everybody can do everything, because it's too broad. It's designed to test where you are in that spectrum. So treat it like that. And I bring that up because one thing I see is, so you have to know the scoring, the way it is scored. Anybody who does it as prescribed scores better than everybody who does it scaled. And you can approach it two ways. If you just want to do it, you want to see where you are, you're newer or coming back or something, you want to do it scaled, you do all of the workout scaled and you see where you are for that. If you want to do it for score, it is doing it as prescribed, because if you get 1 rep as prescribed, you have done better than everybody who does it scaled to whatever level. The top person who does it scaled is behind the bottom person who does it prescribed. So if there's a workout event that starts with a movement that you're not great at, or something like that, if you can get 1, you have improved your score. So if your goal is to get as good of score as possible, that's the approach. It might be a bad workout, right? It might be 8 minutes of trying to get a ring muscle up, but as prescribed scores better than everybody scaled. So just remember that. If you're going for score. If you're going for, I guess, performance would be a good way to see it. How well can you perform? Then doing it as scaled or a mix and match would be fine. But if you want straight up the best score, number, position on the leaderboard, it would be all as prescribed. And then along with that, don't get discouraged. So there will be workouts, events that there will be a movement you are bad at or that you cannot do. It's almost supposed to happen for 80% of the people. There'll be difficult movements for another 10%, 90% of the people. And then that top 10%, you're talking about your top level athletes, quarterfinals, semifinals. So when a movement comes up that you cannot do or cannot do well, don't get discouraged. You just give it a shot and see what you get. And that's the way to get your best score. And as long as you gave it an effort, you don't have to get discouraged because you know you did what you could. And remember that the test is designed like that. It is supposed to happen where there is going to be limits. And you'll see it on the leaderboard where there's going to be a big group of people below a certain timeline or a rep number. And then there's going to be a big cutoff, and then there's going to be another group of people, and then there's going to be another group, and you'll see that staggering on the leaderboard. And usually the reason is a load that the majority of the people cannot do or cannot do a lot of reps at. There's going to be a movement that a majority of people can't do, or a lot of people can't do, or can't do in volume. And then there's going to be the groups that can do all of that and are conditioned. The other thing to think about with that is remember that it is testing broad fitness, all 10 elements of fitness, not just a few. So yes, there is probably, if you're stronger, you're going to do better. If you're faster, you're going to do better. And if you're stronger and faster, you're going to do better. But if you know that you are stronger and maybe not as fast, don't get discouraged if one week you do very well on the leaderboard and then the next week you don't do so well, because it's supposed to test all those elements of fitness. So only the top 20, 30% are going to be good at everything. Only the top 10% are going to be experts at everything. And even there you'll see, yes, usually they're in the top whatever, but every once in a while you'll see a drop even in those top levels. So yeah, don't get discouraged. And then along with that, last point, control what you can. So another one of my pet peeves, people will say, well, as long as there's no blank, I'll do just fine. Or I hope there is blank, and I'm guilty of that too, saying, oh man, I hope this movement comes up. You cannot control what movements are coming up, or the time domains, or what the workouts are. You can control your nutrition, how you're sleeping, your recovery, if you're retesting, environment to some extent, judging and recording, and this is probably a good one along with that. Read through the movement standards. Athletes and judges are both responsible for the making sure those standards are met. If you do not read the workout and the standards before you show up to do it, you risk not getting a correct score. Along with that, making sure your judge knows that here's what, or working with your judge maybe and saying, here's my front squat, is this to standards? Or I read this and I didn't understand it, can you explain it? Or confirming loads on the barbell or measurements on the objects. That's all stuff that is in your control, that can affect your performance and your score. With that, I mentioned recording. I encourage everybody to record, because if something happens where there's a score discrepancy or something and you have that video, that can be proof that you performed it a certain way. So I encourage everybody to. Zeke's going to make an appearance again. He made an appearance last year. So yeah, under 15 minutes, not bad. I think that's it. Good luck. Have fun, everybody. It's going to be a blast. Favorite time of year.